So we just have some questions tied to our bioethical principles we want you guys to keep in mind while we go through the presentation. First one is going to be autonomy. Does a surrogate mother relinquish all autonomy of her body while pregnant? Second is justice. Who has parental rights in a surrogacy case? Beneficence, what is best for the child? And non-maleficence, is surrogacy unethical? So first case will be Johnson v. Calvert. We're going to start off by showing a short clip summarizing what the case is about.
Crispina Calvert had had a hysterectomy, but she still had her ovaries, and she wanted a baby. When a woman offered to serve as a surrogate for her and her husband Mark, she thought, why not? The news was full of stories about test tube babies and surrogacy cases like In-Ray Baby M. And then things went south, which is the story of Johnson versus Calvert. Crispina and her husband Mark entered into a contract with Anna Johnson, in which Anna would gestate an embryo created from Crispina's egg and Mark's sperm. The Calverts would pay Anna $10,000 and buy her a $200,000 life insurance policy. After giving birth, Anna would relinquish all parental rights to Mark and Crispina. The zygote was implanted and Anna became pregnant, but then relations between the parties deteriorated. Anna threatened to keep the child. Mark and Crispina sued, seeking a declaration that they were the legal parents of the child. Anna filed her own lawsuit, asking to be named the child's mother. The trial court ruled that Mark and Crispina were the child's genetic, biological, and natural father and mother, that Anna had no parental rights to the child, and that the surrogacy contract was enforceable against Anna. The Court of Appeal affirmed. Anna appealed to the California Supreme Court. Crispina Calvert had had a...
So I'm just gonna quickly summarize what the video was saying. But basically there was a couple, the Calverts, Mark and Crispina, who wanted to have a baby, but Crispina had a previous hysterectomy, so she wasn't able to carry a child. However, she did have her ovaries, so she was still able to produce eggs. So they sought out a surrogate named Anna Johnson, who agreed to carry the child for them made by Mark's sperm and Crispina's egg. She relinquished all of her parental rights, and she agreed to be paid in a series of installments. As the video said, it was $10,000 and $200,000 life insurance policy. However, their relations deteriorated towards the end of her pregnancy, and after she gave birth, she demanded to be paid in full and threatened to keep the child. So they both basically sued each other to be legalized as the parent. Go to the next slide. So when they brought it to trial, they did a blood test, which basically, the surrogate was ruled out as the mother because it wasn't her genetics that made the baby. So the trial court ruled that the couple were the genetic, biological, and natural mother and father, and that the surrogate had no parental rights to the child. So they also said that the contract that they signed with the surrogate was legal and enforceable. So Anna, she appealed, and then the appeals court agreed with the original ruling, and then the California State Supreme Court also agreed. So they referenced this act called the Uniform Parentage Act, which basically states that whoever is the genetic, whoever has genetic kinship to the child is ruled as the mother. But when it's different with a surrogate, because they're also not the ones giving birth. So in this case, the person who gave birth and the person who gave the genetics to the child was different. But in this case, they said that basically whoever intended to raise the child, intended to procreate, were the ones who were deemed the natural mother and father. So we have a couple of discussion questions for you guys. Do you think there is any biological claim to a child that a woman carried even if the embryo was not made from her egg? And do you think it's right to deny a surrogate mother visitation rights? Anyone have any thoughts on that? No? Sarah?
To answer the question, do you think it's right to deny surrogate mother visitation rights? I think it probably depends on the situation and what the terms are between the biological parents and the surrogate mother, because if they decide that they don't want any relationship, then that's what it is, and then you can sign a contract, and then yeah, I say you could deny it. But I mean, if they're friends or something like that, then it's a different situation.
Right. Yeah, I mean, in this case, like, she was basically just going after money, so it kind of wasn't really about the child in that case, so that's why, one of the reasons why the court was like, no, this isn't your child. Anyone else?
Yeah, to like add to that, because they kind of loosely related, both those questions. Like, to deny them, like, you know, their claim on them portraying that, yes, right? Like, it depends, right? Because they came into an agreement, and that agreement was mutually exclusive on them having the understanding that, all right, I'm gonna do this solid, right? But after that, it's just like nothing personal. It's just, it is what it is,
Right.
pretty much. And there's something like the surrogate mother visitation rights, like that's just weird, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like, like why would you wanna, you know? So I don't. Yeah, I think it's plausible to deny it, especially like given the terms. Like if they're, you know, on good terms and they don't think it's weird, I would still think it's awkward, then sure.
Yeah.
But if not, then
Well, it's interesting that you brought that up, because in our second case, the situation is a little bit different. So you'll see kind of how that played out versus like this one where she had no genetic connection to the baby, but
probably
We'll see that
country
later.
close to them.
any final thoughts? No? Okay. So, for our second case, it's called Henry Baby M.
The
musical.
So while the second half is getting set up, we'll be passing around refreshments and programs. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Alright! So, while we're getting all these things set up with all the snacks, everyone gets snacks because we're making you watch a musical. And there'll be some programs too. I just have director notes. Thank you to viewers like you for making this happen. There's a thank you note on the back. You can read it. But as we said here's the cast. I will be playing Mrs. Whitehead, which is the surrogate / biological mother of the baby in question. Shiv, over there, is going to play Mr. Stern, the father / husband. And who is Jillian? Jillian is going to be Shiv's wife. She is the mother / wife, Mrs. Stern. We have some cool cameo appearances, such as Princess as the judge. Asha's going to be a double role. She's going to be the nurse and police officer. And then Sammy is going to be our beautiful tech, narrator, and juror. Okay?
Finish this box off for me while I go get another one.
We got your juices. You have an extra?
Kimia.
What? You'll see. I'll send it to you. Here we go, guys. Here we go. Look at the background. Is anybody fat and thirsty? Everyone have a program. No child left hungry. Talk to the board. She's here. I can't tell who's standing next to us. Yeah. Only you can. More loud enough.
I like the sweater.
You guys need to get snacks. Can you put them down? Wait, how many are we missing? 4?
I know. We're good. We had 10 minutes extra yesterday. Oh, okay.
We know we're the middle child.
All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Inri Baby M the musical. Please turn off all phones and laptops unless you'd like to record the show-stopping numbers. Today, the show involves content warnings of suicide and kidnapping. Please feel free at any time during the show to take a step out. The cast for today's showing is displayed on the program being handed out by our ushers. Please enjoy the show. Take a look at Mr. and Mrs. Stern. They're anxious to have a baby, but Mrs. Stern is infertile. They visit the Fertility Center of New York.
I'm nervous.
I just want a baby.
One without my genes? Why can't we adopt?
I'm one of the last surviving members of my family. I need a baby with my DNA at least.
Well, do you think she would be a fit mother?
It's me. Hi. I'm the mother. Surrogate.
She'll make an excellent mother.
Thank you.
So look, here's the deal. We're gonna give you $10,000. You're gonna give us a baby.
Let's make a baby.
Mrs. Whitehead was impregnated by Mr. Stern by artificial insemination. At last, 9 months later, Mrs. Whitehead was ready to birth baby M.
My water broke. Help! 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 What would I give to live where you are? What would I pay to stay here beside you? What would I do to see you smiling at me? Where would we walk? Where would we run? If we could stay all day in the sun, just you and I could be part of your world. This baby is so beautiful. I will love this baby forever, and no one can take them away from me. I may not know what I can do with this contract, but these are my genetics. I will not let my baby be sold. These 9 months have been life-changing for me. I cannot lose my parental rights. That goes against non-maleficence and bodily autonomy. Important bioethical principles we must uphold. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I know something's starting right now. Watch, and you'll see. Someday I'll be part of your world.
If you're going back to school, before you submit your essays, after their birth, Mrs. Whitehead finally spent some time with the baby. However, her time with the baby was fleeting. A friendly nurse, Aisha, was at her side.
I love her.
And in a couple days, you get to take her home.
Actually, I'm not.
Mrs. Whitehead tells the nurse her whole situation.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
I want to keep this baby.
What?
This is my baby. This is my blood, sweat, and tears mixed together into the light of my life.
But the contract.
I don't care about some stupid contract. I am able to consent what I want to do with my body.
Ma'am, please, you have
If
to
I
calm
can't
down.
have this baby, I will kill myself.
I'm gonna need some backup.
You healthcare workers are all the same. You never care about us.
This is a common scenario where law and ethics must be assessed and applied in a nick of time.
What do I do? What should I say? On the one hand, we have the biological mother, but she signed a contract with the Stearns. She agreed to give up the baby. What should I do? What do you think?
There's only 2 options.
I need some advice, please.
I want this baby.
Anyone have any thoughts? Yes, what should I do?
Refer.
What?
Somebody has give like either refer the lawyers or something to help her out. I don't think the nurse can make that decision.
Right? I don't want to lose my job. Anyone else? Any advice? Yes. Well,
Give up the baby to the people with the contract. Period.
so, but I feel for her. It's technically her genetic baby.
Aren't you supposed to care for me?
Anyone else? Anyone else? I need some help. No? Well, thank you all for your advice. I'll definitely take it into consideration.
After their birth, Mrs. Whitehead finally spent some time with the baby. However, her time with the baby was fleeting. Mrs. Whitehead shows up to the Stern household with the baby. She's still apprehensive about giving the married couple the baby.
I have my baby.
You have our baby.
You signed a contract. We paid you.
I refuse the money. If you do not give me that baby, I will kill myself. Oh no, Mrs. Scott, no! You should know better! You love this child, or so you say. You should know better. I have. Right or wrong, what else can I do? I love him, I'm his, and everything he is, I am told. I have a love, and it's all that I need, right or wrong, and he needs me too. I love him, we're one, there's nothing to be done, not a thing I can do, but hold him forever. Be with him now, tomorrow, and all of my life. Love comes so strong, there is no right for long. Your love is your life.
I don't want to throw inside of my hand. Let's just give her the baby until we can figure this all out.
As Mrs. Whitehead's week with the baby comes to a close, she reflects on what she thinks is best for the baby.
I know our week together is almost over, but I can't bear to lose you. I'm your mom. I know that for sure. But my husband isn't your dad, and your dad is married to someone else, and it's all mixed up. But you'll forgive me one day. I'm your mother, and right now, that's all that matters. We have to take a little trip, but everything will be okay.
Mrs. Whitehead and her husband decide to flee to Florida to hide from the Stearns, but it doesn't take long for them to discover what has happened, and soon Mrs. Whitehead is arrested.
Yeah, I see her approaching slowly. Miss Whitehead, you're under arrest for kidnapping. Stay still.
Wait, I can't.
Mr. Stearns receives a call letting him know what happened.
Okay, thank you very much, officer. They got her.
That's great news.
For now, Mrs. Whitehead is taking us to court for custody.
She can't do that. We have a contract.
I don't know anymore. I'm going to call our lawyer.
This is my street. I smile at the faces I've known all my life. They regard me with pride, and everyone's sweet. They say you'll be a great mom. So how can I say that while I was away, I had so much to hide? Hey guys, it's me. The biggest disappointment, you know. The girl couldn't have one. She's back and she's walking real slow. Welcome home. Just breathe. As the radio plays old forgotten boleros, As the radio plays old forgotten boleros, I think of the days when the city was mine. I remember the praise I te adoro te cueros. The neighborhood waved and said, Nina, be brave and you're gonna be fine. And maybe it's me, but it all seems like lifetimes ago. So what do I say to these faces that want to see the baby? Hey, she's gone.
This is a mess. None of this would have ever happened if you could have just had a baby.
That's right.
He was always counting on me to conceive. I am the one who let him down, the one who wanted to adopt. And maybe we should have just done that. But when I saw the child, I stayed wide awake. Wished I could have her, wished I could hold her, restless to see. I got every baby toy, saved every dollar. I even got a stroller. How do I accept why I'm coming back home without my baby in my arms? Just me and this empty cradle, asking stern, how did this happen? Straighten the spine, smile for the neighbors. Everything is fine, everything's cool. Standard reply, lots of work with the baby. Smile, wave goodbye, and pray to the sky. Oh God, what will the jury say? Can I go in there and say, I know that I'm meant to be her mom?
Let's go.
It's time.
Come on, Steve.
The Sterns and the Whiteheads will now face off in the court of law, and the fate of baby M is in the hands of the jury.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh, mommy.
It's me. Hi, I'm the judge. Let us review the legal logistics of this case.
So while the Stearns are claiming they have a surrogacy contract granting them parental rights of the child, there are 3 laws in the state of New Jersey that prevent this. Laws prohibiting the use of money in connection with adoption. So because money exchanged hands, the act can be considered baby selling. A law requiring proof of parental unfitness or abandonment before termination of parental rights is ordered or an adoption is granted. A contract cannot terminate a mother's parental rights without reasonable concern. And laws that make surrender of custody and consent to adoption revocable in private placement adoptions. So because Mrs. Whitehead was not allowed to change her mind, the contract was not revocable. So because of this and 2 other laws listed above, the contract must be thrown away. So the only facts the jury must consider are the following ethical dilemmas. I believe these are printed on your programs as well, so feel free to follow along. I'm just gonna read them off the slideshow. So while under a surrogacy contract, does Mary Beth, the biological mother / surrogate, lose the right to autonomy of her body as far as birth plans and behaviors she engages in while pregnant? What are the rights of the Stearns during and after the pregnancy? How much money should Mary Beth, the surrogate, be paid, and how specific should the contract be? Which household do you believe will provide the best care for the child? And is paying Mary Beth, the biological mother / surrogate, to use her body to have a baby unethical?
It's me. Hi, I'm the jury. So I have just divided the room into 2 groups. this side will be in favor of the Stearns, and this side will be in the favor of the Whiteheads. So Whitehead, Justin, and this would be Jillian. In order to have a productive conversation, we will alternate each side. Please refer to the ethical dilemmas and laws placed in your program for conversation guidance.
So essentially, you guys are the jury, and we want to hear from both sides, who you guys side with and why. Anyone wants to start off? Amongst yourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyone have anything they want to share?
So, we were just saying that we're in favor of Jillian because there was a contract from the beginning. And the biological mother, sorry, but you went into this knowing that there was a contract, knowing that you would give them the baby after you give birth. So, yeah. I can change your mind after you give birth. You went into this knowing and you would receive money for it, so.
But the contract's void because of money was involved, right? So
Baby selling is illegal.
We're selling babies. Babies are being sold.
Anyone else?
During pregnancy, however, I don't think the mother would have to forfeit her own body autonomy based on just because of pregnant. So I think she can reject the contract at any time during the pregnancy, but I don't know about after pregnancy.
So you're saying that she doesn't have to like not drink when she's pregnant?
I don't think that's what he said.
Like, well, he said bodily autonomy. So like to me that means like, oh, she doesn't have to follow like what the Stearns want her to do to keep the baby healthy.
Yeah, whichever the law at the time regarding previous rape topics, I think that's not part of that.
So, wait, that's cheating. You can't say
Anyone else from the side? Sarah?
I want to counter that. If there is Mr. Stern's genetics in the baby as well, so it's half. Like it's not just that. It's not only her genetics that are in play with the child.
True.
Kind of going off what Sarah said, I would propose that like Jillian and her father keep the baby like for part custody, and then the mother can still have like access to the baby because it is both of their babies.
So you agree with the visitation rights?
Yes.
Anyone else from this side? No. I just want to also point out both the couples are married. However, Justin, the surrogate mother, she does have financial issues and she does already have kids. So that might also be something to consider when thinking about which household would be more appropriate for the baby to go to. Any last thoughts?
We're gonna use that as a reason.
Anyone else? No?
Okay, so the court decision of this case, custody was awarded to the Stearns, the biological father, and the adoptive mother. So the surrogate mother was awarded visitation rights, but expert consults recommended they be held off until the child is older. Okay, we have some follow-up questions. Do you agree with the court's decision? And we just have a few other questions as well. Should the biological mother lose parental rights because an adoptive family is in a better financial position? Should she not be allowed to visit the child till they are old enough to understand the situation? And is surrogacy considered baby selling? So,
Now you're not talking as a judge, just like as a class, as a jury, I mean. Igor?
Even though the parents have, the non-biological parents have more money, does it mean like that the biological mother doesn't have any means to support? Like, she doesn't have to have like obviously a luxurious lifestyle, but if she can provide basic needs and love for the baby, I think that should be enough.
Well, I think when it comes to visitation rights, I don't know, I feel like when the child is able to understand, there's no actual age of like when they actually understand what's going on. So I would rather have them visit the baby when, you know, it doesn't really have a mind of its own, it's still growing, rather than, you know, traumatizing them afterwards, depending on how, on just his behavior.
I don't think surrogacy is considered baby selling unless, as you guys said, money has exchanged hands. However, other benefits can like from like care, payment of care and health expenses. I believe like there was the other case, the previous case was about like health like life insurance policies. So those are different ways, and I believe from previous cases we talked about. Paying for like accommodations to travel and things like that were also considered part of that payment, which is not directly buying the baby, not buying the
Right, it's not a direct exchange.
Yeah, it's not a direct exchange, I think.
So, I mean, for all intents and purposes, like surrogacy is kind of the equivalent of like some kind of future miraculous procedure that could fix your uterus or your infertility. So just to address that last question, like not really, because it's almost the same as just paying for a surgery. If you see where I'm coming from there. Of course, there's another human involved, but that question should have been decided before it was all happened, along with the previous two questions as well. Like they should have been contemplated before the baby was born and we're at this point in time.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say like legally it makes sense to give it to the Stearns just because of several factors, but ethically, I mean, she is the biological mother, so she already developed a connection while she was with that baby for 9 months, and so like psychologically she could be really affected by that connection being just ripped away from her completely without visitation. So yeah, just ethically to consider just no visitation.
I think also comparing the first case to this one, like as you can see, Justin, when he was pregnant, developed like, as you said, like special feelings for the baby. But in the previous case, she didn't decide to refuse to give up the baby until after she gave birth. So you could see clearly it was because of money. But in this case, it's more like feelings involved.
Thanks. I've had my hand up for like ever. I'm sorry.
It's the like.
For like surrogacy, it's also not just beneficial for the adoptive or the biological parents, because surrogacy can also be both of the parents' genetic information, and it's just the person carrying the baby. But it's helpful for the surrogate because they can have a medical condition that being pregnant helps alleviate those pains and frustrations. So it can be beneficial health-wise for the surrogate and not necessarily all money.
For the second question, considering she has like a history of fleeing, she already went to like, took the baby, went to Florida.
Yeah.
In this specific situation, I wouldn't like, you know, allow visitation rights for the child, so even if they're older.
And that did actually happen. We didn't make that up just for the story.
Okay.
It was also considered in the court decision that because the biological mother had like a history of mental health issues, she was not granted parental rights.
I would like to say surrogacy could be akin with baby selling, because in the sense that when you can't sell an organ, like this is in the same vein, and it could also, due to people having the poor financial states, be exploited. So it, especially when you get it like surrogates from like Ukraine and like Eastern European countries, and then that just loops back into like should the biological mother, even though this could be a separate scenario with parental rights because it's financially better positioned, like you could be like this woman could want a baby, she's like, oh, I'll get it for extra money, and then like just look, it's a feedback loop of like potentially for people who aren't in a good financial position.
Yeah, there's a lot of consequences there. Anyone else?
I feel like the intent matters. Like the law, it tries to just eliminate the gray area. So like to say if it's legal or illegal isn't really the thing. It's more like the intent. Like if you're gonna be like, yeah, well, like, make bank off making babies and selling it, and that's bad, right? But like if you're like kind of, well, I'm doing it because I actually am in a position where I cannot do that, and someone else can be the vesicle, right? So in that case, sure. And as far as like even saying like this discourse with, adoptive family versus biological mother, it's already like giving this pretense of it's okay to even consider that to happen where the biological mother has a say in it. Like, sure, there's an emotional component involved, right? Like, it was in their like pretty much body for like 9 months developing, and so like that attachment, like it makes sense. At the same time, though, like there shouldn't have been that understanding. They should have endured even after birth. In which case, like that family, the adopted family, like they should have not even been in a predicament where they have to do that. Like, thinking about the financial position, like it could be reversed, right? Like the surrogate could be more rich, and the adopted family could be, relatively not as rich, but the principle would remain the same. Like you signed up for something, so honor that.
I personally think that like surrogacy in some ways is unethical, just because anything that like any action that causes like emotional distress to any party, I feel like shouldn't is like unethical. Like for example, like the Stanford prison experiment, like even though there was consent on both parties, doesn't mean that it's automatically what's being done like is ethical, because there was still a lot of emotional and like psychological distress on both parties. So just because you have like a contract doesn't make it any more ethical than unless you provide the surrogate with a lot of like therapy and like maybe a lot of counseling before they make the decision that I'm going to be a surrogate.
Right, you go into this with the intent of doing one thing, but things can change along the way. A lot of different variables come in. Any last thoughts? No?
That was fruitful.
He looks good.
Thank you.
Dr. Shova, how do we start the class?
Click on the green one. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but we didn't start the class.
Yeah, it's not popping up. I'm on it.
You can't join.
All good now? Perfect. Yeah, all right.
Wait, it's on the wrong. No, you've already. Okay, you can just read it on all.
Can everyone see it, or do we need to read it?
Ah. There you go. Can you see it now?
Just put it.
It's B.
Thank you.
How many people?
A few more people? Everybody?
Yeah. Good.
Anyone else? Is this? I think that's it. Did everyone click in?
Yeah, does anybody else need to vote?
Yes.
time to watch our law and ethics presentation.
We hope we gave you an insight on what healthcare professionals face every day.
Physicians, nurses, and all essential workers must practice ethically in order to achieve progress in the medical profession.
The stories today aren't just patients or plaintiffs or defendants. They're humans. Humans with emotions and thoughts who express love and sorrow, pain and joy.
These historical figures have persevered for the rights we are entitled to today.
Thank you for taking the time to watch our law and ethics presentation.
This is also just, so this is what ended up happening with the baby in our final case, so if you want to just read that.
Thank you. Please, let's give them another round of applause.
Wow. What, 14? How do you top that?
That's what I've been good luck with that. Okay, the next group, good luck with that, okay? Okay. I know, right? Maybe we should go to the piano for the next one. Alrighty, good job. Wow. I am so impressed. This is, I don't know, I feel like we're going global somewhat. Right, we're going global. Wow. So again, I just want to thank you guys for making learning so interesting.
With good learning.
Good learning.
Good grades.
And good grades.
Yeah.
So again, that's what this class is about. Being relaxed and learning under some really, really fun environment. And that's my philosophy. Learning doesn't have to be painful, okay? It doesn't have to be painful.
Arsha, what do you think about surrogacy?
What do I think about surrogacy? So surrogacy, I think, is a really evolving industry. Let's put it that way, and it's still very, still in the very early stages. You know, a lot of states are still dealing with how to write policies about fair policies about surrogacy. You know, and things like compensation, things like what is allowable in terms of traditional surrogacy versus, you know, other kinds of surrogacy. Traditional surrogacies are where the eggs are being donated by the surrogate mother, right? That's a traditional one that, you know, everyone used to know, right? But we have other forms of surrogacy. You know, the eggs can come from other sources as well now these days. You know, a lot of states didn't allow those before, but now a lot of states are opening up to it. And unfortunately, we do not have, bless you, we do not have, you know, federal laws that, you know, govern our conduct about surrogacy. So it's left to the state. We can never be asked questions about surrogacy on your boards, okay? Because even I don't know what other states, you know, say about compensation, about legal rights, about parenting, and all of those elements that we saw in the, you know, the presentation today. These are fundamental questions that people are still asking. You know, that's why people travel so far, you know, to do surrogacy or to complete their surrogacy or whatever it is that they want to achieve with surrogacy, because their state laws might not permit certain things, and you have to just look around. You talk to a surrogacy attorney, you know, and they will point you in the right direction. And there are so many of them all around. I mean, I couldn't tell you what New Jersey laws say, for example. Even New York, I can't even keep up because those laws keep changing every day. You know, things like custody, for example, visitation rights, for example, right? Some states would allow the surrogate mother, some states would not. You know, a lot of states will not even allow that, you know, you can have the surrogate mother, you know, some visitation rights and all of those things, okay? Some states even talk about genetics, right? Genetics when it comes to parental rights. You know, some states don't even recognize genetics. The fact that the surrogate mother was involved in the birthing of the child, you know, they consider it as well. So you just have to be careful. You know, if you're looking into surrogacy, you have to look at what the state laws say. Like I said again, we do not have federal laws about surrogacy, and you know, for obvious reasons, you know, it's left to the states to decide. how they want to proceed with that. And there's so many lawsuits today, cases in the courts today about surrogacy. Things that kind of borders on all of these elements that we talked about. Can the surrogate mother be given some visitation rights, compensation? A lot of it has to do with compensation too, and things like that. What can a surrogate mother be compensated for? Some states allow that, some compensation should be given for medical expenses, travel expenses, and some states say no compensation should exchange hands for surrogate mothers. So you have to be careful. You have to look at the laws and see which ones really are favorable to you, whether you're the surrogate mother or any party at all in this whole dynamics. You just have to make sure that you're protected, and that's why you should always seek an attorney, a surrogate attorney, to point you in the right direction. So that's my take on surrogacy, and it's just as complex as we have seen, back in the day, even up until now. It's an evolving, area of artificial fertility, and the laws are constantly changing. Okay, so thank you guys very much for the wonderful presentation. Oh my goodness, another round of applause. Okay. I mean, they just hit on every single point on surrogacy. I don't even feel like talking anymore. I want you guys to absorb that and just chew on it and enjoy it, savor that taste, all right? Okay, and I don't want to, spoil it with my long talks and all that. But I'll see you guys next week, and have a wonderful rest of your week. Okay? Thank you so much. Yeah.
What? Good job, guys.